Okay guys, let's try and get to the end of this model now and see this out. So again, it really is just the same process that I've been using before. So if we get our reference image back here, so we want this polygon and this polygon. This is where our arms are going to kind of begin from. Before I just do that though, I just want to kind of move that down so that the polygons we're extruding from match up with where the kind of shoulders are for our reference image. And then we can start the extrusion on there. And again, we're just going to be lining things up. So let's do another extrusion to get to the end of that, I think. Okay, we can come back and refine that a bit in a mo. Another thing I was going to say about this reference image, it's not an ideal reference image necessarily. If you can get one where you've got a T-pose, it does make it a little bit easier, particularly when you're modeling things like the arms. That's why a T-pose is generally the go-to pose for your reference images. Or if you're drawing your own ones, try and go for a T-pose. It does make the modeling process easier. Okay, now we're going to start extruding down. Okay. Generally speaking, where you've got joints, like in the elbow and everything here, you want more detail, particularly if you're going to be animating. Can also use scale. I always forget about just scaling things like that. Can speed up the process a bit. Okay, that was pretty painless to do the arm in that direction. Problem is, we're going with this reference image or this style of reference image. If we just hide our model, the reference image, all we have from the side is a circle there. There's no side reference to the arm. So this is where we have to kind of use our creative license to kind of skip the side view part and jump straight into the perspective view part. So let's hide the reference images again and just kind of try and round this off and shape the arm the best way we can. The nice thing about sort of lower poly style is that if it's not perfectly realistic, it doesn't matter so much. You can get away with more. Seems a bit weird as well with this reference image, the kind of positioning of the arm. Looks a bit awkward. The main thing is though to consider when you start animating that you can start moving these joints around. So it doesn't matter too much. Okay. Again, I know I keep saying it, but I'm trying to kind of do this as quickly as I can. You should spend more time on it than me. Kind of staying true to the reference image there at least. Whoops. Okay, not too bad, not too bad. Might try and angle them a little bit actually. Just because I feel that the positioning is just weird. This is where if you have drawing ability, then you can draw your own reference images and you kind of don't need to worry so much about relying on others. See, now I feel like the arms are too back. Let's undo that. Let's stick with that. Let's not worry too much. Okay, now we're kind of just left with the hands, which is one of those things that's a bit awkward because hands take forever because you've got all the individual fingers. It's awkward. I personally hate doing hands unless you want to go for the whole kind of like a mitt kind of a hand where you only have a thumb and then the four fingers are kind of joined together. It depends what level of detail you need to what you want to go into here. I think for me, for this video anyway, I'll go for the mitt approach. But if you want to do the individual fingers, it's just going to be the same process, a bit like we did with the legs almost, but you know, twice as much work. So let's just go for it again. So I'm going to come out from here, especially with this reference image again, it kind of really goes from like 0 to 100 with the wrist to hand. So what I'm doing here is just extruding and then scaling it up a bit. And then maybe scale down because the hands are going to look a bit chunky. And let's do a couple of extrusions there. Potentially looking a bit chunky as well, these hands. Okay, yeah, I'm just going for the whole mitt approach, but that's where you would kind of need to divide that up and extrude down individually, kind of per finger. There's a nice mitt. Okay, again, so we want to get our vertices. Obviously, this hand is like super chunky. This is why I hate hands, because the hand part, they take so much work. Just when you think you're near the end of your model, you get to the hands, and they're about just as much work just to do the hands as it was for the rest of the model sometimes. What I have done in the past is if I've made a hand, one really good hand, I'll get to this point in a model and I'll go and copy over my good hand that I made before and reuse it again. So I often just reuse the same hand I made ages ago. So again, I just avoid hands. Anyway, for our mitt hand, I think this is just about all right. Okay, and then polygons, we need to extrude our thumb here. Where's our thumb? Over here. Do we want to start from 2 polygons? Let's go for it. This is going to be awkward because we need to just do a connection across there. So the same thing we've been doing the whole way through is really just using Connect to add in detail, just extruding out where we need more polygons, and then just adjusting the vertices to get the positioning right. This is kind of a bit weird as well right now. It's like a really long thumb again in the reference image. Just using bevel at the end. Got to make this view bigger, I think. Going to use scale. Yeah, you can see why hands are so fiddly. You will have a thumb. Problem we got here is really we've got more vertices than we would want come the end of the model here. So there's just too much to work with. Sometimes you just have too much to work with. It becomes a real pain. Come on. Whoops. Okay, so I don't want to, again, go too far into that. Definitely these hands could be better, but again, I don't want to go. You get the process. You can spend some time perfecting yours. I don't want the videos to be too long. So kind of there we go, essentially. There's some things that could be better. I could do some more definition in the neck area there, and around the shoulders is a bit, needs some work. But generally speaking, we have a base mesh of a character model. And then obviously what we can do with this is we can just add on other kind of accessories, clothing, whatever we want to do from this base mesh. We could also, if we wanted, we could export this and put it into like a sculpting package, and then do some digital sculpting with it. There's lots of things we could do just from this base mesh that we managed to create. And all in all, it's taken an hour maybe, if that. So it doesn't take too long. What I will show you now is another thing that you can do to this. So if you wanted to add, the level of detail of this, what you can do is you can add what is called the Turbo Smooth modifier. Now, what it does, you'll see exactly what it does when I add it. It adds in a lot of detail, and I can see there's some issues there with my model where they're not joining up in the middle. Okay, just sort that out. So it adds to the level of detail, and then the more of these iterations you add, the higher the level of detail of the model. Okay, and you can start to see that it starts to look a bit weird and definitely needs some changes when you start doing this. So if you want to work with a model in a higher level of detail like this, what you would want to do, you can add your Turbo Smooth, you can convert it back into editable poly again. And then what you can do, because moving these vertices around is going to be a nightmare, right? So what you can then do is use, if I can find it, soft selection. So if I turn on soft selection, see I can increase the fall off of effect on the model. Okay. So if I was moving these arm bits around, and then as you move them, it's going to move other vertices with it, and you can start shaping the model in that way, should you want to. Okay, but that's going to hurt another kind of whole level of what you might want to be doing. If you want to keep it lower poly, then you want to avoid turbo smooth. Okay, get rid of our edge faces. If we go back to the Cinti store, if you notice their kind of style, you can really see like where the definitions of each individual polygon is, which largely that has happened with my model, but in places like the face here, it doesn't. So what you can do to ensure you get that is go into your model, go to polygons, do a Control A to select every polygon, and you go down to these smoothing groups and you can clear all the smoothing groups. Okay, now what it's done is I can see the definition of every single polygon, and you can really get that sort of low poly art style if that's what you want to go for. Okay, I can see I've still got some issues with my model there. Okay, but we're going to leave it there for now. Okay, that's going to be how you can create a base mesh to work with. You can take that for digital sculpting, you can increase it to a much higher resolution mesh if you want to, or you can stick with the low poly, you can create accessories, you can create clothing for it from here. But yeah, that's for another video. Okay, so that is all for now.